Is health care a right or a privilege?
Not from the government. So if you say that healthcare is a government-granted right, then we as citizens are giving the government too much power over our lives. If we are saying we want this to be a government-granted right, then we as citizens are saying it is the government who gets to decide where, how, when, and under what circumstances we get healthcare. That's given the government far too much power over our lives.
So at least he said it, you know, hey, should healthcare be considered a right? No. Just think about it. When you're crafting a society and you're putting it together and you're trying to be civilized people, we're going to have a government, right? That's just what happens in modern societies. You don't have everybody super fragmented and no social contract. So of course you're going to have a government. The question is, how big is government and what are the functions that it does?
Who are coming into the labor force brand fresh, not old-timers who've been around for a while, the poor, the minorities, the disenfranchised, those with less education, young people who haven't had the job experience. These people aren't worth $15 an hour in most cases, and so therefore when you have a $15 an hour minimum wage, they don't get that first job, they don't get the requisite skills to earn above the minimum wage, and after a few years they become unemployable, and after becoming unemployable they become hostile, and that what you'll find happening is this technology has created an underclass of people who are really just bid out of the labor market and will remain out of the labor market for most of their lives. And this, I think, is just a tragedy.
What he's talking about toward the end there is what automation is doing. And he talks about automation essentially leading to unemployment as a good thing, right? Because this is how the market works, guys. This is the free market. I mean, you got bid out. I mean, you've been working at this job, you've been underpaid, and then you get screwed over with automation, and that's just how the free market works. It's just that we need government intervention in the quote unquote free market when, you know, these corporations commit fraud or they fail, and then they need some liquidity from the Federal Reserve to bail them out. That's when the free market isn't the talking point that they like to use. But when it comes to wages, that's when they love to talk about the free market. And of course, who does and does not deserve a $15 an hour minimum wage, which at this point in most parts of the country isn't even a living wage. Okay, that's how much inflation has basically destroyed the current wages that we're earning right now, but further made it unlivable. Really, even at $15 an hour.
But let's not bury the lead there. He just said not only the poor and the young, but that minorities aren't worth $15 an hour.
Yeah, yep.
He just said it. You could rewind the tape and watch.
I'm not surprised at all.
Minorities are not worth $15 an hour. And that, if you don't know who Art Laffer is, that's not just some rando dude that they found on Fox, like, oh, hey, who can we find to yell at minorities today, right? No, that's Art Laffer. He's the author of The Laffer Curve. That's the basically supply side economics. And the Laffer Curve is appropriately titled because it's a total joke. And the thesis there is, if you tax rich people too much, then you'll get less revenue for the government. That's not remotely true. It's been disproven 1,000 times, but it is very convenient. You just needed one, I don't want to say idiot, because they're all making money off of it, right? But you just needed one guy to make up economic theory. And then, because the Republicans don't care if it's true. They've never cared if it's true. By the way, neither do corporate Democrats. But mainly the Republicans and Reagan all relied on the so-called Laffer curve to say, oh, no, don't tax the rich. The rich are the beloved. Now, they need all of the money. They deserve all of the money, and we cannot tax them. But the poor, they don't deserve any money. They don't even deserve $15 an hour. Minorities, young people, no, they don't deserve it.
Yeah, there's hostility, and guess what? If this continues, that hostility will only continue to grow. It'll only continue to grow. And for all the people out there, I want to be clear about something. All the people out there, especially corporate liberals and at least some never Trump Republicans that I've seen on social media. Oh, you're poor, it's your fault. oh, you're in a terrible situation with your medical bills, it's your fault. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps, you get no help. This is the way the system is. We're the greatest country in the world, even though we have literally hundreds of thousands of homeless people in California alone, literally children living out on the streets.
This is the guy who said we should not tax the rich because they deserve more money.
Right.
Okay, so but getting back to the hostility point, you're saying, Anna, the people making between $7.25 and $15, or even more, making $15,000 to $30,000 a year, or et cetera, they're becoming hostile because they realize the system is rigged against them.
Yes.
And they are right. Whether they're right wingers or left wingers, it doesn't matter. They are right. Okay, the system is rigged against you. And they're certainly not worth it. And eventually we're gonna fire them all. And then they're gonna get hostile because they're not making any money because they didn't earn it like the rich. The rich earn and deserve everything. And these bums, these black people, these brown people, these young people, these poor people, these bums are gonna get hostile. Okay, first of all, if they're driven to hostility at all, if anyone is, it's because of comments like that.
It means you might have to go back to school, learn computers, drive an Uber car. That's a growing industry where you can make some solid money and nobody's telling you what to do. Might have to move. There are areas of the country that are booming, especially in the service industry. In Florida and Texas, there are jobs and no state income tax. But hear me well, if you're not making much money and you just sit there hoping a political party will improve your life, you are a fool. A fool.
C'est des gangs de paresseux.
Ils disent que c'est du monde qui ne veulent pas travailler.
Ils aiment ça parce qu'ils ne veulent pas faire un effort.
Les préjugés sur l'aide sociale, on les connaît. Pourtant, sur le terrain, la réalité est différente.
I challenge anyone to live on less than $10,000 a year. It's tough.
Vraiment, je leur tire chapeau qu'ils arrivent à finir le mois.
The social assistance system as it stands is a relic of the 20th century.
À travers les années, les groupes qui luttent contre la pauvreté ont souvent demandé qu'on augmente les prestations.
C'est pas un cadeau, on n'arrive pas. Je suis tanné de vivre ça avec 140$ par mois, surtout quand t'es marié.
You grow up in poverty, you don't expect much for your future. You hope to be able to live a little bit better than you did when you were a kid.
C'est un engrenage. Tu rentres dedans, tu es en train de tourner et tu sors pas de ça.
Est-ce que le modèle de l'assistance sociale est encore adapté aux réalités d'aujourd'hui?
One of my favorite quotes is, "What doesn't kill me only makes me stronger." And growing up in poverty, that's 100%.
La majorité des gens qu'on a rencontrés là-bas vivent de l'assistance sociale.
J'ai comme 613 d'aide sociale et puis c'est 620 mon loyer, fait que déjà à partir de ça marche pas. J'ai pas assez d'argent pour manger, j'ai pas assez d'heures pour le chômage.
Au Québec, la prestation d'une personne seule sur l'aide sociale équivaut à environ la moitié du seuil de pauvreté.
Une personne seule n'a même pas 12 000 par année. Là. 12 000 par année, tu payes le loyer, ou tu payes la nourriture, ou tu payes ton électricité, ou tu payes tes vêtements.
Parce que les gens, quand ils trouvent un travail, on les voit plus. Mais il y a une base qui est là de personnes qui vont en avoir besoin jusqu'à la fin de leur jour. Parce que jamais leur situation financière va s'améliorer.
Now in the 21st century, when there's so much precarious employment, people jumping from one job to the next, having to work 2 or 3 part-time jobs to just make ends meet, social assistance simply isn't responsive to those realities. Basic income is.
A year ago, I was employable. Now, I'm not employable. I'm not employable. On $14,000 a year, you don't live, you subsist. With basic income, I was actually able to afford 3 meals a day. Good food, like fruits and vegetables. I don't have to worry about a roof over my head because I'm now affordably housed. And so for me, I saw this as a chance to stabilize my health, which has been deteriorating.
Many of those people who are low income are required to visit the doctors far more often because they're sicker. And so that's having a cost, I think will result in much, much lower cost to the healthcare system as a whole.
I'm sure there are a lot of people who would wonder how I live my life the way I do, and it's a lot of it is, I'm living for me. I want to improve my life. I do not want to spend my life in poverty.
Basic income was this chance to go, hey, what can I contribute? And it's like a shattered dream.
Taking out money out of me, that's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna arrange myself. But this creativity right here, you can take it. The system doesn't give a shit about the poor. The system is right there, and every tower between them, having an orgy or I don't know, but and the poor, the working class, immigrants. What do you do about them? You do nothing. So those people in this demonstration that you call, they're not looters. You learned us the violence of your system. That's what you do. You learn us how to be violent because of the violence that you put on us. So don't start saying that those people that the demonstrations are violent. People are angry, are fed up, and they have the total right to be